thing. Like my brain has been ear melty, so I'm not necessarily like overly funny. But
So what's different?
usually you're here to cheer me up, but today it sounds like you just want to tear me down. Tear me down.
Oh, well, that's how my humor works.
But my emotional stability is not what this particular show is about. This show is about magical gatherings. This is Two Trolls and a Brew, episode 102, Popeye Stompy. Subtitle, The Big Loser. Hey, Travis, how's it going?
Oh, I'm all right. Are you the big loser?
I am the big loser. We'll talk about that when we get into this week's draft discussion.
Oh, I kind of figured it was the entire MTG community
Oh, yeah?
who fell for the Popeye Stompy.
Man,
So
I don't even know what you're talking about.
you don't?
I have no idea.
I know something that a pro did before you do. Oh, that's so awesome.
An brain leaking out of my ears over here. Tell me what the pro did. Tell me the story of the title of the show.
All right, so Popeye Stompy, there has been reports of a legacy deck that has pirates in it that use the Stormcaller Siren, the one that like counters a creature. The 1-drop flyer. So there's that, the 4-drop, the one that taps 2 permanents they control.
Okay.
Siren's Ruse, and then like the Rashadan creatures, like the 3-drop where when it enters, each opponent pays 1 or sacrifices a permanent. The 4-drop that makes them pay 2, and then the 5-drop that makes them pay 3.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
All right, so it's these old,
like these really
pirates
old pirate cards in the way back from.
Yeah, from Arcadian Mask.
Okay.
Well, I got them here in my pirate deck, which is where my
sort of kind of understand what you're talking about. Like anyone can pay mana to prevent this effect.
Right.
Okay.
And they would use the Siren's Ruse to bounce them, so it would make them do it again. Plus, Siren's Ruse draws a card.
Right, if it's a pirate.
Right. So, yeah, bunch of old crap, right? So, around that, people were going 4-0 with this deck and Legacy, and then dropping so that way, like online, so that way that the list wouldn't be printed. And so there's this huge hype about it and all this other stuff, and it caused these cards to skyrocket in price, right?
Like, and I assume it's a scam.
One of them jumped up to $8. The other one jumped up to $19 just over the weekend, right?
Okay.
And then the person who was doing it, Bob Hong, I think his name is. He writes for Channel Fireball.
Channel Firebar.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just trying to imagine what that exactly would look like. Like you walk into a bar and he's just like going, making it fire, makes the bar more and more on fire.
But so he prints the list, and then he's like, like he prints like or he posts screenshots of the conversation that he had with his buddy. He's like, it'd be really great if we just made up a bunch of BS how there's all these like big pirate legacy deck going around, and then show just different screenshots of like 2 or 3 things in play, and then make it look like there's a new thing going around. So they did that, and it caused these cards to skyrocket in price. And then they just revealed it's like, yeah, dude, it's all a hoax. Like none of this was real. It's so funny.
Yeah, that sounds like crazy. Especially for like a professional writer of a website like Channel Fireball. Like that borderline's on the edge of like an ethics question.
Yeah, but it also is an incredibly great troll.
Sure. And
Like you're telling all, and that's why I put it as the title, because it's like these dudes made the like a large like a large population of the Magic community just go crazy over this Pirate Legacy deck, and then they're like, "Nah, bro, it's all fake."
Right. Yeah, I think my problem would be that, again, if like if you and I did it just like randoms, it'd be fine. But using the power of like Channel Fireball behind it, I guess it also depends on where they actually did it. Like if they just announced that the troll was happening on Channel Fireball, it'd be a different story.
Well, see, and nobody knew that it was a pro that was doing it until he came out and said,
Okay. See,
"Yeah." Until
so
he
so I
posted the
think a lot of
article.
those fuzzy lines I think are a little bit less than
Yeah, because until he posted the article, nobody knew it was him that was doing it. So it was
sounds
just like,
right.
yeah. So he was like completely anonymous in doing it and just
So
made things jump.
that actually sounds reasonable to me, though. Like, I drafted, I think, 2 or 3 of that spell, that Pirate's Ruse, this
Yeah, the
weekend
Sirens
in
Ruse.
Sirens, or whatever it is, and I loved it in my draft kit. Like, often it was one of my best cards.
Yeah, well, and I put it in my Pirate Commander deck because I've been running their Shodden Foot Pad or whatever. Because when it enters, everyone pays 2 or sacrifices a permanent, right?
Right.
And I've been running it in my Commander deck, and then I altered it obviously because Admiral Beckett Brass is here now, so now it's Grixis instead of just mono blue. And I threw that Sirens Ruse in there, and it's just like it's such a good card even in Commander.
Yeah, I mean, I think Commander is probably even better because there's such a wider range of pirates. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, I just uh that 4, or that is it a 3/4? I think it's a 3/4 for 5, and it makes 3 treasures when it comes into play. Like there was a lot of
Yeah,
times just like cast that guy, block. Somebody would try to like finish it off or something, and I would just blink it with 2 of the clues and like
right.
net or not a clue, a treasure, but net a treasure and draw a card. It was great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I don't see that would not be really feasible. Like that sounds like a good,
Yeah,
possible deck. So I can understand how people might get swindled if you're into Legacy.
right. And like that's the thing though, because once they revealed the entire deck list, I looked at it and I'm like, man, this is so awful. Because it's like they had a playset of each of those pirates, and they had like a playset of the 2 new ones, the one that taps 2 permanents and the one that draws them a card. Obviously, they had Force of Will. Then they had the card Hoodwinked,
Well, yeah, because I mean, if
where it's
people buy
based.
it, they're definitely hoodwinked.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Then they put like a 1 of Ramirez de Pietro in there.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just like they revealed that list, and I'm like, oh my god, this list is so beautiful and awful at the same time.
Yeah, I might have to go check it out, or you'll have to dig me up a link so we can throw it in the show notes. But yeah,
So
it's
just go to Google and type in Popeye Stompy.
okay. I'll do
It's
that.
the
I'll see if I
first
can
thing that
find it.
comes in.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. If there's, I haven't looked, but if there's something to be done, like in modern as pirates, I think it could be really exciting.
Right. I think it'd have to be like a Pirate Ninja deck,
Maybe.
like a straight up like discard mono black Pirate Ninja. It's like you drop the Deadeye tracker on turn 1. You can attack, and if it's not blocked, which I mean it's a 1/1 in modern, no one's really gonna try and stop that. But then like you ninjutsu in the rat that makes him discard a card.
Right.
You just keep playing pirates and like attack and do the raid pirate that makes him discard, and then you can if you can cycle that one in continuously. Yeah, I could see it being a thing.
Yeah, Brandon Edwards is calling this Pirate Bear deck. So
Pirate bear.
Pirate Bear. Arr.
Okay. Yeah, hate bear, pirate bar.
Yeah. I don't know, it could be okay. I was actually thinking more of the things to recycle the ruse. Because I really think the ruse card is very, very good, but
Absurd.
I ended up having to use it so I guess we're gonna jump into the draft this week if that's cool, and the troll cards.
Yeah.
But my draft this week, I basically started with Herald of the Secret Streams, which is the rare for 4 mana creatures with 1/1 counter that you control can't be blocked.
Oh my god.
Which seems really great, especially when like my pick 2 was a Siren Lookout, which is the 1/2 pirate with exploration, basically explore. And I was trying to pick up some more of them, but I never did. But I tried getting these explore things, and I did something I usually try not to do, and I had a desire to play blue-black. Like I wanted to build the blue-black piratey type deck, so I forced it pretty hard. And the deck seems okay. I picked up my first 3 picks was the Herald, a Siren Lookout, and a 1 with the Wind, which is the aura that gives +2/+2 in flying. And I picked up a few other things here and there, and I thought my deck was pretty good, right? Sometimes it could be a little slow. I had a lot of 5-drops, but I thought, I had a bunch of 2-drops. I had a bunch of like 3-drops that were like doing things. I had a reasonable amount of removal. Like I had a Walk the Plank, and I had a bounce spell that I was playing, and a couple other kill spells.
Okay.
I thought the deck was okay. And then we get to my troll card of Makeshift Munitions that I splashed for. And I think it took a lot of people by surprise. So for those of you who don't know what Makeshift Munitions is, I'm going to throw it up on the screen. It's an enchantment for a red and a generic. And wow, it's still not coming up. Hopefully it'll come up in a second.
Nope.
With the ability to pay 1 and sacrifice an artifact or a creature, and it'll deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So basically, it's like 5 to 6 points of repeatable damage, essentially, at the end of the game to kind of finish things off. Or anytime a creature would die in combat, just hurl them at him. It is just not coming, does it? So a lot of the times, I make a reasonable amount of clues. Oh, that was the one. I had the bounce spell that made the clue. I had a couple of those.
Treasure.
Yeah, treasure. Sorry. It's going to take me forever to transition from treasures to clues.
I keep doing that too.
But yeah, so basically, I felt really comfortable being able to splash. The 2 red cards end up splashing because I had all the treasure production. And Makeshift Munitions only needed 1 red mana to start ever. And I thought it was really exciting. I used it several times to like kill people off from like 7 or 8. Because I just picked up like 7 treasures, and I'm like, take 7. They're like, okay. And then you like attack, and any guy who got blocked, you just fed to the cannon, and they died. But my other card was Marauding Looter, and this is a guy that I am incredibly impressed with. It's a red, a blue, and 2 generic for a pirate, a human pirate. That's 4/3, but raid, you get a loot. This thing is nuts in limited. I think I was able to get it early pack 2, and just was incredibly pleased with it the whole time. I don't know if you had an opportunity to fiddle with that guy.
I played against him, and every time that he hit the field, if I didn't answer him, then I just lost.
Yeah, I mean, you could draw potentially 2 cards a turn very easily. In
Right.
some situations, with the Pirates, with the Ruse or something, he's a 4/3 body. Like, he just hits all the check boxes. I don't know. Grixis Pirates could be the real deal. Maybe not this set, but definitely next set, right? This is still a 2-block set.
Right.
Yeah, so it could be the real deal. I'm really impressed. Something I was less impressed with, though, was Walk the Plank. I often had it on turn 2 and had the mana to cast it, and repeatedly faced Merfolk decks. I think the earliest I was able to cast it for value was like on turn 7 to kill their 1 dinosaur that they played.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was the best thing ever. But I don't know. It seems like a good spell, but it may not be a main deck card, ironically. I'm not sure. I need more practice with it in draft anyway. So let's hit your troll card, and then I want to talk about why I put the subtitle in this week.
So my troll card, I really couldn't figure out which one I wanted to do, because one of them led to me winning with the other one.
Fair.
So I was playing against 2 people, and so blatant thievery, you know what that does?
You like steal a permanent
do
from
you?
each player, right? For like 5
Right.
mana.
For seven mana, you steal a permanent from each player, and you just gain control of it. It's yours.
Right.
Pirate deck, stealing. So with that, from one opponent, I took Soul Ring, and then the other opponent, I took Mirari's Wake.
Okay, so you stole like
And
almost as much mana worth of permanents as you used to cast the spell.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, I was short by 1, but when I did that, I had Treasure Trove in play, so I was able to use the Soul Ring and then my 1 blue mana to draw a card. So I was like, well, it's not that big of a loss. And then, so I stole the Mirari's Wake from the aggro, like they were both playing aggro decks. I'm just sitting here trying not to die. And so the one dude who has Mirari's Wake, he starts going after the vampire player. And he kills him off, so I lost the Soul Ring, darn, with Mirari's Wake still in play. But then I drew Capsize. And with Capsize, when he attacked, I had 9 lands in play. So I was able to bounce 3 things every turn. And I was just like, all right, I'll take your 2 tokens away and your biggest threat. And then once that happened, I was like, I just kept taking all of his things because that's what my deck does. It just steals your stuff, but I have stupid pirates in play. And after like 3 turns of me doing that and not allowing him to do anything, he's just like, I'm done playing this, so I'm just going to scoop. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know which one was the more troll card, because the thing that ramped me.
Capsize is generally an incredibly powerful spell if you can cast it and buy it back. Repeatable bounce effects for the low price of 6 mana is not really that big of a deal. Thievery, though, it only gets better when there's more people at the table. So I would probably have to say Capsize number 1, but Thievery number 2 of these 2 cards.
Yeah, because the way I do it, if targeting me, then even though I had their things, I would have died.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's an important lesson, right? Like threat assessment, irritation assessment, not always the same thing.
Right.
So, uh, anyway, let me tell you a little bit about this Friday Night Magic. Like I said, I drafted this blue-black pirate deck, splashing red for those 2 cards. One game won, or match won pretty quickly. No big deal. Game 2, my opponent sits down. He's like, well, you pretty much won this game. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, my deck is terrible. And I only beat my first round opponent because he got mana screwed 2 of the games. I'm like, really? That sounds bad. He's like, yeah, it's pretty terrible. And I go, okay, well, I mean, I'll take a quick W. I mean, it's the last week of Fatal Push. He's
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah. And he got me last week too, and I mentioned that. Well, I'm like, you knocked me out of the bracket last week or whatever. And he's like, yes. So it's probably your turn. So we start playing, and I keep, I don't know, like a 3-land removal spell, like maybe 1 creature, and a 5-drop.
Okay.
And he goes 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. Enchant my 3-drop with Vampiric Mark of the Vampire. Attack you. Like every turn. I'm like, oh, well. I guess I'll play my 1 creature to block the turn before I'm like, I've already lost. I just want to see what other creatures he plays. Right? So then he drops the vampire guy who gives an attacker +2/+0. Like a vampire +2/+0. So I'm like,
Yeah.
awesome. This is great. So now his lifelinker is 2 bigger, but not only that, it's already like a 4-something flyer. Like, okay, this is great. So we shuffle up and go to game 2. And I sideboard in my Mark of the Vampire, and I kind of adjust a little bit of my bounce spells to, because it looks like he's going to be kind of like an aggro type thing. And game 2, totally different. I mulliganed to a reasonable hand on 6, where I had some interaction. I had like 3 removal spells, and he goes 2-drop, 3-drop. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play my 3-drop to explore, and I'll be able to block his flyer, and then I'll use my kill the creature with power less than 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I forget exactly what he did, but he did something. Maybe it was 2 Mark of the Vampires, but that doesn't sound right. He did something to make the flyer outside of my range, so I could not kill it with the destroy target creature 3 or less.
Okay.
Power 3 or less. Had I just kept, if I kept the removal spell up, I could have slapped it down, killed this guy. Or maybe he had a 2. Maybe it was a 2-power creature, and then he puts the mark on it to make it a 4-power creature. I don't remember exactly. But basically, he takes that guy out of my reach to kill. I'm like, okay. I guess I'll kill his 1/2 potential death or death toucher next turn then instead. Well, then he sleeves it up with the Mark of the Vampire. Attacks me for 8. So I am completely out of this game. And he's like, yeah, so I just really like Mark of the Vampire. So I just took little evasive guys and like 4 Mark of the Vampires, 5 Mark of the Vampires. And I was just like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do, right? Like, that's
Right.
just insane, where you're just like, yeah, and I was trying to figure out how I got these really good black creatures, right? Like, really good black cards were coming by, and he was sitting upstream from me. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
when he starts playing black stuff, I like, there's no way you're black. But yeah, he was black-white vampires, but like 5 or 6 of the little 1/3 vampires for 2.
Right.
2 of the 2/2s that drain you a life for 3. 4 Mark of the Vampires, and like 2 of those lords. that Pump a Vampire +2/+0. That was his deck. And I was just like, wow,
Why
I
not?
had no idea that that was a thing.
Right.
Especially after he was just like, yeah, my deck is terrible. I can't do anything. My deck is so bad. And he's just like, yeah. Attack you for 8
Just like,
life leads on turn 4?
Yep.
Or turn 5? Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, if things work out correctly and so wins, like I could probably still take second and still walk away with a fatal push. So I win my next round, and then I win the next round. I'm like, yeah, sweet. And I got the score sheet. So I'm filling out the score sheet. And then I'm like, all right, well, there's about 10 minutes left in the round. I'm going to go talk to the boss. There hasn't been any judge questions in the last hour. So I feel pretty safe just leaving Remington in charge of the score sheet. So I'm like, Remington, you're in charge of the score sheet. And I'll yell when the round's over. So I'm over talking to Todd. And the alarm goes off. And he's like, oh, we already took care of it. I'm like, oh, sweet. Where did I place? They go 4th. Or no, 5th. Sorry, 5th. I'm like, 5th? I was 3-1 and I got 5th? That's insane. So Jackie, friend of the show Jackie, is looking at the thing, and everyone was 3-1, including my opponent that I beat in the final round to put me at 3-1. Except for me, I was 2-2. So I got misreported. So Jackie is looking through the sheets, and she's like, "You're 5 points better than everybody else, and you had the highest record at 3-1. You should have won this tournament because my first 2 tiebreakers were way above everybody else's. So
Right.
had I been correctly entered into the computer as 3-1, 3-1 instead of 2-2, I should have taken first place." So I'm like, so I asked the guy and the packs have already left. The winnings have already gone, right? So I'm talking to the guy who finished the tournament and handed out packs without even telling me that the tournament was done. He goes, well, you were 5th, so it didn't matter. You didn't get a door prize or anything. You didn't get any packs, so it didn't matter. I didn't have to tell you that, Remington took care of it. Tournament was over. So I'm like, sweet. So instead of winning the tournament and taking home like 12 packs plus getting my fatal push, I got 5th place. So I'm still a little peeved, actually.
So you're not necessarily the big loser as much as,
Oh no, I'm the big loser. Because I paid for 2 people to draft and won and didn't get anything.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. It was still a lot of fun.
That makes sense. Loser.
Oh man, there's nothing worse than losing to nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Nothing you can do about it. So I know we had homework this week to build a deck, and I'm working on something, but I didn't actually get it done. Like I meant to. But instead, I saw this really sweet one from Frank Lepore, and I think this is a really interesting base that we can talk about and kind of tweak a little bit. So how does that sound?
Sure. I can't really see anything, but yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'll have to use my words and make a brain picture. So 25 lands, and it is bug. So green, black, blue.
Yeah, like I can see. What's that? 2 Vraskas. Some things, but I can't see all of it. It's kind of fuzzy.
Sure. Yeah, the picture is originally really small. So it's got 3 fatal pushes. It's got a search for the A word, the blue search that turns over, which into like a weird impulse kind of thing, I think. 3 walk the planks, 3 gifted Aetherborns, 4 Supreme Will, a Doomfall, the Death Gorger Scavenger, which is Nathan in particular is calling it the new kitchen finks. Like it comes into play, and you can eat a creature and gain 2 life, and whenever it attacks, it repeats. I think that's actually probably a better comparison than Remington's bad Scavenging Ooze. So I'd kind of like to discuss that with you later. 4 Rogue Refiners, 3 Glimmer of Genius, 2 Gaunties. I thought it was 4 Gaunties. That's what made me so excited for this deck was 4 Gaunties. 2 Gaunties, 2 Vrashka's Contempt, which is like 4 mana Hero's Downfall.
Yep.
1 Bounty of the Luxa, 1 Liliana Death Mastery, 2 Scarab Gods, 1 Nauseous Gearhulk, and 2 Vrashkas. So I really like a lot of what this deck is doing, minus the Gifted Aetherborn. And when I thought it was running 4 Gaunties, I'm like really excited. But I think this deck has a lot of really interesting potential with a few tweaks. But the first thing, I don't like this Gifted Aetherborn in the main. They're fine in the sideboard, but I don't like them in the main. What do you think?
About that card in general?
That card in general in this list, where you're basically, your creature package is pretty reasonable, but you are pretty heavily split across 3 colors.
Right.
And having your 2-drop cost double black.
Well, what's the mana base? It looks like 4 Ether Hubs, 4 Blooming Marsh.
4 Blooming Marsh, 2 Botanical Sanctums, 4 of the drowned, the blue-black land, the Buddy land,
Catacomb.
I assume. Yeah, drowned Catacomb. 4 Fetid Pools, and then 2 forests, 2 islands, 3 swamps. So realistically, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't know, 19 or 20.
4, 8, 12, 16, 19 black sources.
It's still, though, your 2-drop for double black.
Yeah.
That still feels harsh to me.
Like, at very worst, you're going to have 6 non-black sources on turn 2 out of 25? Or is that 23?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Early, I'd prefer more removal.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Either more removal or an easier to cast creature, and then take the Gifted Aetherborn and like just cut 1. Like I think 2 in the deck is still really solid, but instead of it being over here in the 2-drop pile, you want to think of it over here in the 8-drop pile.
So what about the Gifted Kite Sail instead? Because that's hand disruption. Knowledge.
Yeah, I like that a lot better. Does it have to have raid to do that though?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. I think for me, I'm just trying to figure out if I want something like a... See, this is my problem. Everything else I think of is kind of so-so. Right. I really like the new blue pirate that costs 1, the Storm Queller or whatever it is that counters a thing for 1. I also really want the ability to play the guy who cycles to stifle.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 or 2 of those seem really good. I also really like the idea with this Rogue Refiners and Gaunty to have the a blink effect, like the Pirate Ruse or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not getting maximum value of blinking a pirate to draw an extra card, just like being able to boom boom is, I think, still really good. So yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the Gifted Aetherborn. specifically 3 of them feels off to me. But again, also, like I said, I really wanted the 4 Gaunties. And I was really excited with the idea of just gaunting people for days. But I don't know, there's a lot to like about this deck. The other thing that you could put in is the draw 2, discard 1, unless you attacked.
Oh, chart the course?
Yeah. Which I also really like on 2, specifically so you could put something in your graveyard. I mean, Liliana brings anything back. So there's also the possibility that you could not run any Gifted Aetherborns or the Search, and you can just run 4 of those. So you look like 3 Fatal Push, 3 Walk the Plank, 4 Chart the Courses, and then you become more of like this Reanimator-esque deck, which I think could also be really exciting. But I don't know. This looking at this list makes me excited to get my hand on a Vraska or 2. Where before I was kind of like soft on the card. I don't know. What in general do you think of this deck, Travis? Yay or nay?
I like it. I wouldn't play it.
It's not very Travisy.
Yeah, like if I'm playing a creature heavy deck, or like late game creatures, or even planeswalkers, I mean Vraska would be the only reason I want to play it. But if I did it with Vraska, then honestly I'd take out a lot of the creatures and just put in straight up removal.
Well,
Control magic.
This is part of my thinking is along that same lines that you're discussing right now, except I don't necessarily want it to be bug, even though I really like the blue cards in this deck. I think a lot of the blue cards are very good. I want it to be Abzan. That one. Whatever it is, I say it wrong every time. I try, but whatever. But I really want it to be that because of like Cast Out and a couple other cards I think to adjust the removal to be harsher and yet you're on the mana cost. But I'm not as sure if the mana base works out as well. I'd have to look. My brain says no. In fact, here's a magic card. Yeah, no, it does not work out as well. Yeah, it does. It's the same bloody thing. Because you would have white and blue buddy lands to work with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just wouldn't be able to do like the double casting cost black stuff because the overlap is different. So, I don't know. Depends on whether or not you want to play Gaunty, I guess. Also, because you're playing Gaunty and so many exciting creatures that have come into play abilities, I wonder if like one double into the battlefield triggers artifact would be exciting. I can't think of the name of that right now.
The artifact?
Yeah.
Panharmonicon.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if like exploration Panharmonicon's a thing.
I don't see why I wouldn't.
Like it seems okay, right?
At the very worst, you draw 2 lands that you were going to draw anyways.
Or at the very worst, you reveal a card that you know is going to trigger. Leave it on top, reveal it again, and then put it into the graveyard. Your creature gets +2/+2.
Right.
Like green-black. And you like Mystic Snake. Or not Mystic Snake. Whatever the snake is called. The counter snake.
Yeah, Mystic Snake.
No, not the counterspell snake. The +1/+1 counter snake.
Um,
I can't
I
think
don't know.
either. But like, I'm going to I'm going to add anywhere between 4 and 8 counters to my explore creatures. Seems okay. I know it could even be bug,
That'd be so sick.
right? Like Panharmonicon plus that. How does that interact with Walking Ballista? Walking the Ballista, it's not an Into the Battlefield trigger. It comes into play
No.
with them, so it doesn't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah, it just comes in with them.
Yeah, but like, is this a good blue-green deck? It seems good,
Pretty
right?
much any blue-green deck is good.
I just mean it's Winding Constrictor. Thank you, Brandon. But this seems good. Like,
That's not blue at all.
no, it is not. That's why I was thinking maybe the Vraska with the blue-black or the black-green. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of really good Into the Battlefield and Explore guys that are like merfolk in in the other two colors that we talked about that my brain doesn't want to put together now. So I don't know. Could be exciting. I could see a Panharmonicon deck making a comeback. Plus the ability to give your creatures, a couple of your creatures, an extra +1/+1 with that merfolk pump spell. Like, I'm going to give my Walking Ballista an extra +1/+1, and this merfolk randomly also gets another +1/+1.
Right.
Could be okay.
Oh, yeah, that 2-drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that card was great for me in Sealed.
Yeah, I wish I would have. One of these days, I'm going to have to like get a GoPro or something and record my draft, because I feel like I definitely was in the wrong draft this week. I definitely should have been blue-green merfolk.
Yeah.
Because the things that were going by were just way better. And that's part of the thing I want to discuss with you about having a predetermined notion of what you want to draft, and you kind of just lock in and not reading the table. It did and didn't work out well for me this Friday. But because I definitely wanted to do a blue-black deck, but I feel like in hindsight I should have been black-green, or sorry, blue-green. I don't know. I felt like I had blinders on.
I do that.
That's
Like, I
just
get
fine.
that 4/6, that 6 dinosaur that's Durin, and I'm just like, no, I'm only going to draft things that have big butts and not do anything for the whole game. I lost on Monday.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. I don't, especially these first block sets, I'm typically really good at triple this or triple that. I'm not usually so good when the whole block comes out. But I'm usually really, really
It'll take
strong at
me
triple.
it'll take me like 1 or 2 more tries before I actually get the format down.
I don't know. I know that's all I got. I didn't have. I mean, I've been distracted. My brain's been melting. I'm doing a new treatment for my migraines, and some days I feel great, and other days I think I'm dying. And today is a day that I think I'm dying. So I didn't prepare a lot of notes. I haven't done a lot of reading about Magic stuff. I promised everyone a deck list, and I didn't do that.
I have a deck that I built.
Oh, did you tell me about your deck?
All right. So I'm going to start it off with the land base because it's incredibly simple. 4 swamps, 4 mountains, 4 unclaimed territory. You remember that one?
That's the tutor, right?
The one where when it enters, you choose a creature type.
Oh, okay.
And then it makes one of any type.
A pirate deck, I see.
So, yep. 4 Canyon Slaw and 4 Dragon Skull Summit.
Okay.
Rakdos Pirates.
Is this the same one we talked about last week?
Did we talk about one last week or?
Yeah, we did. We talked. It's like basically black, except you're splashing for the pirate driver.
Oh, okay. Well, then we talked about it last week.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that when I was drafting, because I also drafted one of those pirate drivers, and
Right.
as I had the deck all laid out, I decided that I could not play it. But the deck seemed like a lot of fun to me. Have you got a chance to play with it? Is it working out?
I played one game with it, and I played one match with it, and it was basically luck of the draw for my opponent. Like if they could get around me doing damage incredibly quick, then they could get around it. But so they need a lot of spot removal to deal with the deck.
With all them fatal pushes, you just keep shuffling around over and over and over again, showing off.
Yeah, pretty much. But like with the freebooters and the duresses, just take away anything that they're gonna target with, and then I have 7 removal spells, so I just get there faster.
Right. Well, I almost wonder if a deck like that could do a lot of work right now with the ability to run something like a makeshift munition as a, if not out of the board, like a 2 of in the main to kind of like get that final reach in.
Right.
Because I know from my experience playing those kind of like early aggressive black X decks, there's often a point where you get to that you can't continue to push through.
Right.
Like either they have too many big guys or their removal spells are doing enough. And having the ability to pick a creature up and throw it at their face, even if it's just 1 damage, is often pretty good. But
Right, like just sit back and like chump, and then before damage, throw it at them.
right. Well, especially if you can attack enough to get them to like 5, and then all of a sudden they stabilize and they're like, "Oh, I've turned the corner. I can't lose now." And you're like, "Awesome!
Ding, ding, ding.
Makeshift munitions, attack, block all these guys." Okay, well those guys are getting thrown at your face instead now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I really like cards like this. It's also kind of a similar card as like a Falter, where it's like, oh, you can't block with those guys. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of interestingness going on. I was thinking about trying to come up with some sort of mostly white token-based deck that also was running a little bit of red for some of the more interesting cards, like the Dino Trample or whatever, just to get, a little bit more damage in from tokens. But I was sitting there thinking, because I'm like, all right, so you have Servo whatever it's called, the make 2 vampires or 3 vampires or whatever it is. You have Shram's the white expertise, whatever the white one's called. And I'm like, you can go pretty wide pretty quick, but what if you had makeshift munitions to throw the last few guys at their face? So I don't know. That's what I was kind of kicking around trying to figure out if it was a build or not. And I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, I've always been a black aggro with a little bit of reach guy.
You know what would be good with the munitions? I think it'd be good with the God.
I'm sorry, you lagged out there just that second. What?
I said I think it'd be good with the Locust God. So like late game, you have the Locust God in play, you're drawing cards, and then like if they block them or if they try and kill them, you're just like, well, take the damage anyways, and more than likely, especially with the Locust God decks, it's a late game.
Right.
I have yet to see a Locust God deck where it goes like less than turn 7.
Yeah, I mean, usually you run like one of those late game finishers, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I've drawn enough cards to get to it. Now I'm going to turn my extra card draw into ways to win the game. Usually, once you get to a certain point, you get your finisher, then your card draw is dead.
Yeah.
But maybe. I don't know. I'm also kind of fiddling around with the Grixis control type deck that uses a card that you talked about.
Revelin Riches?
No, the other one, where the guy make mannequin, the 6-mana guy.
Yeah. Marionette Master?
Marionette Master. Thank you. I'm kind of fiddling around with a Grixis deck like that. I know Conley Woods has got one out there that I kind of like. He started playing with an Esper one tonight, which could also be really good. I just want the capability of playing like one Bolus.
Mm-hmm.
But basically to just kind of like wrap things up. Maybe one of each of the Scarab or each of the Grixis-esque gods. Again, to kind of give a little rounding capabilities. But I don't know. I'm not real sure. I just think if you're going to spend a bunch of time and you're going to make all these treasures, I almost said clues again. I want the capability to do a lot of really cool stuff.
Right. Well, in the list that I was working with, it was actually it was Esper splashing for red for the Bolus. Like
Right.
Bolus is just a secondary win, or maybe even third win condition. But it had basically had Revelin Riches, Marionette Master, and Nicol Bolas as the win conditions. And it was just a bunch of removal and then token generating things. And that was
See,
it.
I think I really like the spell, the boomerang that gives you a treasure. And I also really like the draw to make 2 treasures. Like those, I'm a big fan of spells that do things like that.
Well, see, and that's what the white was for, was because of Anointed Procession.
Right. Makes a lot of extra
So
ones.
it was like bounce the creature, lose.
So I guess my big thinking is if you were to do something like that, in my mind, there's 2 ways to go. You can either go, like we're kind of talking about, like Grixis or Esper or some variation, but then add the 2 or 3 of the artifact that says your artifacts can tap for generic mana. This way you can sacrifice the clues for colored mana if you need to, or just tap them to make a generic mana for casting non-artifact spells. And I think something like that's really strong to like play a Bolus like several turns earlier, or all of a sudden you're tapping a blue and 1 mana to draw 2 cards and make 2 more mana. Like I think there's some play in there for a card like that. I don't exactly know. But you could also kind of work it just like we did a couple of last standard. Please, dogs, just give me 5 more minutes. You could. They're not going to give it to me. You could use the Indomitable Creativity. So you could use all these spells to buy time, and then Indomitable Creativity into your finishers, whatever they happen to be. So I'm also looking at that possibility. So I don't know. Lots of things, lots of balls up in the air, and I think there's a lot of interesting things to do with this set. I just haven't done it yet. But since the dogs are going to go insane, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Unless you have anything else that you'd like to add, Travis.
Nope.
Okay, so samusgrobel.com for this and all other episodes. 2trolls@gmail.com is our email. I didn't check today. I know we had a couple that we needed to talk about, but I completely forgot. Twitch.tv/SamusGarobo or Twitter.com/SamusGarobo to get a hold of me or check us out there. And of course, Travis is at TurtlePower319. I also want to point out YouTube.com/SamusGarobo if you'd like to watch this episode instead of just listen to it. All right, Travis, wrap us up. Give us a good story. No, I'm muting so the dogs don't go crazy. You have to feel the dead air. Tell me a story.
I don't know. Like, I don't really know any stories.
In the show was something good.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Tell us the time that you got some sweet booty.
Are you talking about treasure?
Tell me about a time that someone walked your plank.
I got a great story about pirate related themes. All right. So one day back when I was living in Kansas, Jackie had decided that we were going to go to Lawrence for one day and we were just going to go play Magic with Kyler. And we invited our other friend Carl to go with us. And about halfway through the trip, I was like, "Hey, Jackie, have you ever heard of Captain Dan and the Scurvy Crew?" "What is that?" Like, "Well, it's a rap group that is their music is based entirely off of being pirates." And he's like, "Wow, this sounds glorious." I'm like, "It really is." And Carl's like, please don't do anything stupid." Or, whatever Carl says. So I immediately turn on Captain Dan and the Scurvy Crew, which is just a really awful. They're not good, but they're fun to listen to. And the entire time we were just listening to the thing on the way there. And when we get to Lawrence, we go and pick up Kyler, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to go somewhere to eat?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great." So ironically, he takes us to this place that's called like Sailor Jerry's or something. I don't know. It's this sub shop that's based around sailors and like ocean themed things in the middle of Lawrence, because why not? And we walk up to it, and Carl, he just gives this huge sigh of like frustration, started laughing hysterically, and Kyler was confused, and he decided to make it worse by talking like pirates for the whole day. And that was my story about pirates.
That sounds like a long walk on a short pier. No, I'm trying to come up with I only have so many piratey puns.
Yar.
You are everyone.
Troll.